generation is different, with trends that become more prevalent as society changes. That also appears to be true when it comes to intimacy. Several national surveys show that people born after 1996 aren't as active in the bedroom as previous generations. We're going to go over some of the factors that may be fueling that change. Dr. Eileen Palace with the Center for Sexual Health is joining us.
Good morning.
And I have heard this, and it is weird because, and when I said every generation is different, every generation is.
Yeah, but Gen Z is really different because it's having less sex than any other generation. And along with that, there are also some of these surveys found that they're replacing partnered sex with cyber sex and sexting.
Well, and the world has changed so much. I mean, there's so many factors that
we're going to talk about each of those. I wanted to add that the other thing, along with less sex, is a correlation with increased mental health illness.
Okay.
So that we're having problems with depression, anxiety, phobias, social anxiety, and even suicide is increased with less sex.
Up in a world that seems to have gone off the rails.
Yes, there's a lot of changes.
Well, let's look at some of the causes. Social media, you say, is one.
Yeah, this is the first generation that's had how many different methods? Texting, internet, Facebook.
They've never known not having cell phones.
Instagram, right? But that's become their method of social interaction. Yeah. So the days of the cruising and the malt parlors are gone, and instead they're focusing in isolation on what's happening on the internet, and so they're not having opportunities for sexual contact.
Then there was 2 years of COVID.
COVID was a big problem because that, of course, encouraged social isolation. So people, a lot turned to Zoom, and they didn't have any way that the young people could connect and make sexual connections. And
you say the decision by the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade was...
Yeah, that's newer data, obviously, so they're just starting to look at that, but it's showing that women have always, of course, been concerned about pregnancy, but now it's a much bigger issue because it could be really a risk if they can't have any way to deal with that termination. So what women are doing is avoiding having sex altogether, and they're simply going directly to cyber sex, where they can, of course, have safety without intimacy.
And another problem is a lot of kids now are still living with their parents.
Very commonly, because of the change in our economy, a lot of children are often going into their 30s and they're still living at home. And so they've lost their ability to have money, economy, independence, freedom, transportation. And so that, again, the days of cruising are gone. They're not out meeting other people where they're going to learn sexual interactions, and they're living at home alone.
And another problem you say is part of what parents have done. Helicopter parenting.
Yeah, because we know the treatment for any kind of anxiety, to prevent anxiety, you have to have exposure. You have to be out in the world and learn about things in order to not be fearful. When you avoid things, you develop fears. So as the parents have gotten more cautious and thinking they're taking care of their children, they've actually taught them to be anxious, depressed, and fearful.
And so, because the last thing you got is the bottom line in all this. I mean, how do you go back to this? Because you cannot change, you know, how many things have changed in the world.
No, but look, the important thing is that our young adults are avoiding partnered sex in favor of the cyber sex and other methods, and as a result, they're having an increase in mental illness. We know that this has become very common. Like I say, it's the highest it's ever been over time, and mental illness is a result. It's both a cause and an effect of not having sex. So this is something really is important for us to have attention and concern.
And are you worried as we go further along into, you know, more social media, more it's going to get worse?
So this is something you're mentioning we probably can do about it. Get our children out there, help them to get exposed to life. Don't let them hide out doing nothing but social media all the time. We're animals. Sex is meant to be adaptive. It decreases stress, increases mental health, it decreases depression, it decreases anxiety, it increases immune function, it even increases longevity. So avoiding that is really very, very problematic for our mental and our physical health.
And aside from that, just the social interaction, you know, with other human beings rather than a machine.
Right. So. That's what we need to rely on for our survival and our happiness, and our physical and mental health.
Dr. Eileen Palace, thank you very much. You can reach Dr. Palace by sending her a message at dreileenpalace.com.